Toyota and hybrids. It is a match made in heaven. It's a bit like gin and tonic. They just go perfectly together. However, when it comes to pure electric cars, Toyota has only got one in its model range, the BZ4X. But that is about to change because they've now got this. The Urban Cruiser. It is Toyota's new pure electric B-segment SUV. It's going to rival cars like the Vauxhall Mokka, the Kia EV3 and the Skoda Elroq. Now in a moment I'm going to go behind the camera. I'm going to give you a full walk around tour of this car. We're going to look at the styling, we're going to look at the interior, the boot, the battery tech, all of those things. But before I do that, if you like motoring content, please do consider subscribing to my channel. And of course, if you've got any questions about this car, drop them in the comments box below. What on earth is a B SUV, you're asking? Well, it's industry speak for a super mini-sized SUV. The electric small SUV space is absolutely booming right now, and the Urban Cruiser is being hurled straight into the path of the Kia EV3, Vauxhall Mokka Electric and the new Skoda Elroq, to name just a few. It'll even be rubbing shoulders with slightly more premium high riders like the Volvo EX30. Oh, and if the name Urban Cruiser sounds familiar, it was used on another small SUV available in the UK from 2009 that quickly disappeared from sale 3 years later. So today I have got the pleasure of being at Toyota UK's brand new facility. They've given me the keys to this Toyota Urban Cruiser for the morning. I'm in their photography studio and we're going to take a good look around this car. Now as we go around this car, you may be thinking, now that car looks just a little bit familiar. Well, there is a good reason for that, because Suzuki are also launching a B SUV in 2025. It's called the EV3. Now this and the EV3, they are sisters. They've been jointly developed by Toyota and Suzuki. Now there may be a few styling similarities between those cars, there naturally would be, but the Toyota very much does look like a Toyota, and the main reason for that is this front end. Now there is the similar sort of headlamp design where the bodywork kind of cuts into the headlamp. There's a bit of a sort of a strip up there, very sleek headlights. We've seen this in the Prius, the BZ4X. We've seen this on a number of Toyotas recently, and it's their current design theme. Now the front end really does look pretty smart actually, nicely designed, full of sharp creases. This colour is sort of, I don't know whether you can pick it up on the camera, but it's sort of a greeny kind of grey, and it does look pretty smart. Down here it's all kind of pretty clever because these vents can open and close depending on the state of the battery. Should the battery need cooling or it needs to retain its warmth, those flaps open. There's an air curtain either side to channel the air through there to make it more efficient, so the air passes through there and round the side of the wheel to make, like I say, to make the car as efficient as possible, less drag, because of course drag is the killer of most electric cars. It's got a really chunky look to it. I love these kind of squared off wheel arch trims. Of course we've got the charging port there. We'll come back to that in a second. As is the way with a lot of pure electric cars at the moment, or small SUVs, to make the body look a little bit kind of more lithe, a little bit more kind of smaller than it really is. We've got this piece of plastic trim here that cuts into the door. We've got a hidden door handle there to give the car a bit more of a, well, not necessarily a coupe look, but to sort of smooth out the side of the car. Then moving around to the back, we've got a bitone body colour here. More on that a little bit later on. But to the rear, it looks very smart. There is no full light bar despite this piece of trim suggesting there is, which I think is a relief because everything seems to have a light bar these days, but just a very simple set of LEDs there. Urban Cruiser proudly displayed on the back end, and yeah, I think it's got a really kind of chunky look to it. It reminds me a little bit of a Jeep Renegade. It just looks a bit purposeful. Right then, let's talk about batteries. So in the UK, you'll be able to get two batteries, a 49 kilowatt hour and a 61 kilowatt hour. The 49 kilowatt hour has 142 brake horsepower, whilst the larger battery gets 172 brake horsepower. Both of them are front-wheel drive. Now, further down the line, there may be a dual-motor version of this car with four-wheel drive, but for the time being, you're only going to get front-wheel drive. And that's understandable, really, when you remember the competition of this car, the Mokka, the Elroq, the Ford Puma Electric, for example. They tend to be front-wheel drive predominantly. Now, Toyota hasn't confirmed the DC rapid charging capability, but quietly, they've told me today they are aiming for 150 kilowatts, which is very good, in fact. It's more than cars such as the Kia EV3, for example. So you'll be able to charge this very quickly. The charging times haven't been revealed, but if they are aiming for 150 kilowatts, you're not going to be spending too long at a rapid charger, that's for sure. Now, the charging port is on the left-hand side of the car. We've got this labelling here, which Toyota tend to put on all of their cars. They tend to be hybrids or HEVs. I have to say, I think it looks a little bit cheap, this. Actually, it looks a bit like something you might get in a cracker. That's just personal opinion. You may very well like that. And then, yeah, very conventional, nothing special here, just a Type 2, and you pull that out, and then you've got your CCS rapid charging capability there. One thing I really like about this urban cruiser is that Toyota is not scrimping on the basics. So a heat pump comes as standard. For comparison, the Kia EV3, that is a £900 option and only available on the top spec car. Here, it is standard equipment. Not only that, but there's also a remote app, so you can precondition the car, you can precondition the temperature, so that when you come out in the morning and it's cold and icy, the car is defrosted and it's nice and toasty warm inside. Speaking of the inside, let's take a look around. Inside, and the first thing you'll notice is the dashboard is of a very, very different design to Toyota's other pure electric car, the BZ4X. In that car, you've got quite an unusual dashboard setup with a small screen up the top, a small steering wheel. Here, it's far more conventional, and I think it's all the better for it. So we've got a squared off steering wheel, as is the norm these days, and we've got a pair of screens, high set, so they are easy to read. We've got a 10.25 inch driver's display here, which looks very smart. It looks very crisp, very easy to use on the move, I would imagine. And then to the right hand side, it looks like it's all in the same kind of screen, but they are two separate screens, as you can see. We've got a 10.1 inch screen here for your infotainment system. It uses Toyota's latest infotainment system. And I've just had a very brief play around with it. It does seem to be very easy to use. I like these shortcut buttons here. One thing I should say is this is a pre-production car. Toyota have given me very early access to the urban cruiser, and this isn't a road-worthy example. So this infotainment system does seem to be just slightly laggy, but I would imagine the actual system on the road cars, the cars that you can go and buy, will be an awful lot better. But first impressions are very good, and this is a big upgrade from previous Toyota infotainment systems. One thing that's really nice is you don't have to do everything through the touchscreen. Yes, you have got these shortcuts either side, but look, we've got proper heating and ventilation controls here, and there is a volume knob there as well. So you can use this stuff very easily on the road. I really like this center panel here. It's in a really nice soft touch plastic. We've got harder plastic on the top there, but this is nice soft touch plastics. I like these square vents. Moving down to the center console, we've got a wireless charging pad, two big cup holders, And then we've got this new arrangement here for the gear selector. There is an awful lot of shiny black plastic in here. You can already see this is starting to get fingerprints and a few scratches. But hey, that is the norm these days, and you can't criticise Toyota too much for this. It's just something I don't particularly like. We've also got drive mode here. We've got a trail mode setting here, and we've even got hill descent control. Even though this isn't a four-wheel drive car, we've got hill descent control. The doors look really kind of snazzy. I love this kind of trim. This is a similar kind of pattern that you get on the Toyota Corolla, for example. Nice wodge of well, no, it's not quite soft touch plastic, but there's a bit of give in it there. Nice comfy armrest there, more piano black down there. And the door bins, they're not the biggest in the world, but you could easily fit a sort of a normal size bottle of water in there. Let's look at the glove box. Again, just an average size, nothing too much to write home about, but it's really not too bad. Now in this car, obviously these are studio lights. You don't get that on the actual car, but you can see we've got a lovely glass roof there, and you may have noticed just over in the corner there we've got a JBL stereo system. Now this denotes this is the top spec car, the XL. It also comes with 19-inch wheels, a round view 360-degree parking camera, and the bitone paint. So on this car we've got a black roof with sort of a greeny grey body. The design trim is one down from that, and that is going to be the best seller in the UK. That comes with a heated steering wheel and seats, auto folding mirrors, and the entry-level car, the Icon, comes with 18-inch wheels, a reversing camera, keyless start, and these two screens. Now Toyota hasn't confirmed the prices yet of the Urban Cruiser, but I would imagine it's going to start with a 3 and a low 3 at that, so round about £32,000. Let's take a look in the back then. Hidden door handles, and these doors for a B SUV, a super mini-sized SUV, actually open pretty wide. So this is going to be good for family buyers. Let's take a look in the back seats. Now that seat is set up in my driving position. I'm 5'11", and there is very decent knee room back here. It's not quite as roomy as a Kia EV3, but it's a hell of a lot more spacious than a Vauxhall Mokka. You can fit 3 people in here at a push, thanks to the flat floor here, but the middle seat is pretty narrow, but it'll be fine for short journeys. Decent headroom, actually really not too bad. The only thing I would say is because of the black roof lining and the glass roof only extends to there, and the shallow tinted windows, it can feel a little bit claustrophobic in here, but you could say that for a lot of this car's rivals. These seats also slide backwards and forwards, which is really good. Nice added element of practicality there. It allows you to prioritise a rear legroom or space in the back. Speaking of the boot, let's take a look. Let's take a look at the boot then, and one thing I really do like, if you look very closely, there are 3 tiny indentations on the back bumper, and that shows you where the boot release is. Lift up the tailgate. It's manual, it's not electric, but that is par for the course in this class. Now the boot volume comes to 306 litres. It's a fairly good shape. There's no load lip whatsoever. It's pretty square. There's a bit of underfloor storage here for your charging cables. One thing that I like is that you can fold this up and then it can lodge into the back there, so you can keep the boot floor in its raised position should you need to. You've got space for your charging cables and other paraphernalia. Again, because this is a top spec XL, you get a JBL stereo system, but that's all you get. You don't get a movable boot floor, but like I say, it's not too bad because you've got some underfloor storage there. Little panels here to, when you fold down the rear seats, they cover up the the gaps so you can easily load stuff through. One thing that's really worth noting is that the back seats, you will notice, 40-20-40 split. Really practical that, although it's worth noting that the back seats themselves, they only slide 60-40, but hey, that's a very small compromise for you there. So there we are then. That was a very quick walk around tour of the brand new Toyota Urban Cruiser. Now, like I said earlier on, Toyota hasn't confirmed prices yet, but I would imagine they're going to start around £32,000. And if they do, this starts to look very, very tempting indeed. Now, what do you think to it? Let me know what your thoughts are, whether it's going to be on your shortlist, what it's like against the competition. Let me know what you think in the comments box below.